Call this meeting of New Iberia City Council to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Councilman Calvin Bagno.
Please bow your heads. Let's pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember Natalie Johnson. Councilmember Peggy Girat.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Swear.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember David Merrill.
Here.
Councilmember Raymond Lewis. And Councilmember Calvin Bagno.
Here.
Mr. Lewis asked me to announce that he had some personal business to take care of this evening. So we do have a quorum. Okay, thank you. The first agenda item is public comment, and before we begin, I'd ask if everyone would please silence their phones. And public comment is an opportunity for anyone from the audience to come to the podium and discuss or give your opinion on any item on the agenda. And there's no discussion, it's simply your opportunity to give your opinion or your ideas concerning any agenda items. We have one person that has completed a card, Ms. Deidre Ledbetter, and she wants to address agenda item 8A, which is the political sign, changes to political signs.
8B.
I'm sorry, 8B. She wrote 8B.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, audience. I did address this issue at the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, and I told them about myself being a first-time person in the political arena. I don't have name recognition, and I needed to get my things out as soon as possible. To me, there was no problem this year, and also this year is a presidential election. So we had primaries held in March. Signs for those people were out several months in advance before that too. So that would put a limit on all of that. So I'm speaking in favor of, and I'm asking you all to be in favor of denying that the addition of restrictions to the political sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate you coming forward with your ideas. And the next agenda item is acceptance of the minutes of the September 20th, 2016 meeting as published on Thursday, September 29th, 2016.
Motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Merrill, second by Mr. Bagno. Is there any discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. The next agenda item are candidates that would like to announce their candidacy for office. The first person to speak to the council is Mr. Mike Francis, who is a candidate for Public Service Commissioner, District 4.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having me. I'm from Crowley, Louisiana. I'm a conservative Christian businessman. I'm seeking the office of the Public Service Commissioner, District 4. For your information, there's 17 parishes, over 900,000 people. We were in Alexandria today, and then over to DeRidder and down to New Iberia. We're going up to Eunice when we leave here. I'm asking for your vote today because I would like for you to consider voting for a businessman. I'm an oil and gas man. I've been in the oil and gas business all of my life, all in this area here where we're located, living in Crowley. When I was 30 years old, I started a business with one truck, one driver. The truck was mine, and I was the driver. I built that business up to over 200 18-wheelers. Oh, wow. Had 486 employees in its height. Had locations all over the country. We had 8 locations on the Gulf Coast. We had a location in the port of Lake Charles. We were the largest customer of the port of Lake Charles. I'm very proud of what we did there. I learned a lot about business. And I think this Public Service Commission position requires that, someone who knows about business and planning, long-range planning, making a budget. And ladies and gentlemen, another reason that I think you should select Mike Francis as your Public Service Commissioner is I served in the political arena. I got tired of sitting around griping about politics like all of you and decided to do something about it. I got on the Republican State Central Committee, and I ran and won that seat, and then I was elected as chairman of the Republican Party. And for 6 years I served as the chairman. We had a lot of fun, had a lot of knots on our heads, but it was hard work. We were real proud of what we did. So today I'm asking you on November the 8th, to remember Mike Francis. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We appreciate you coming this evening. I forgot to mention that we're going to strike agenda item 3C, which is Mr. Lewis. Since he's not going to be here this evening, he's going to announce his candidacy at the next meeting. The next person to address the council is Mr. David Merrill, who is a candidate for Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is David Merrill, and I am running for Mayor Pro Tem in New Iberia 2016. And I would like to definitely thank you guys for allowing me to come up here to announce my candidacy. I appreciate it. Actually, I'm a family man with 5 children, 1 daughter, 4 boys, and I'm divorced. I love my city of New Iberia. I want to do what I can to make it a lot greater. And also, there are some things that's at attention right now to us in New Iberia. And a lot of people know some of the issues that we face right now. One of them is our police department. I would definitely love to bring our police department back. I know it's not going to be easy, but with the mayor and whoever the council is at that time, I'd like to take a look at it. Also look at the budget, see what we can do possibly to maintain the services of the sheriff department, possibly by putting a small patrol together, bringing the police chief back, and gradually working to bring our city back with a police department. I think it's vital and necessary because right now we have no control, and the mayor actually takes care of the city with the city council. And if we have an effective police department with a police chief, we can definitely look at having some control back into our city. Another thing I like to do is increase our business efforts by doing what I can to promote this city with a group of people that can help me, also with the citizens' ideas of New Iberia, to promote us to be able to look at other businesses to entice them to come into New Iberia. Also build our infrastructure, which is very important, and gradually look at seeing what we can do to improve the recreation for our children in New Iberia. A lot of people out here I've been talking to are really getting tired of going to Lafayette for recreation with their kids. I have a grandson myself. I take him to the kart ranch. He loves that. Chuck E. Cheese. He likes stuff like that. But right now we're at a position to where we don't have that here. And we need to look into other avenues to try to promote other people to come in here to help us to have those type of things that Lafayette has. You know, we can start on a small level. But definitely our children are very important to us. We all have children and grandchildren. Another thing we need to look at also is the relationship. Communication and relationship. They're 2 very important words. Right now, that's the thing we need to grow our city. Relationship with the parish, relationship with the school board, and also a relationship that can help us with the community to hear the people's ideas. It's not just about us as a council here and a mayor. It's about the people, and we need to form a committee to be able to get the people's ideas on what they think that they'd like to see happen in New Iberia as well. My name is David Merrill. Early voting starts on October 25th until November 1st. I would love you guys to talk to me. Call me if you need anything you need. I'm there for you. I am here to do the job. I want to do the job. I'm going to do my best at the job, and I guarantee you any call that I get, I'll definitely take it seriously. I need your vote. My number is number 86. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill.
Yes, ma'am.
said no.
Well, we usually don't have,
I've asked
we usually
you.
don't debate. I know, but we're not supposed to, but if the council wants to, it's up to y'all. Do y'all want to dispense with the rule and have a question,
You know,
questions
Mayor,
and
they
answers?
come up here and they ask us to vote for, you know, and sometimes you got something you want to ask of them, you know, and you can't, so you got to vote for them, and you don't know where they stand on that issue.
Right.
Well,
I'm
Ask him,
asking.
ask
does the council have any objection
I'll
to
make a
allowing?
motion.
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Rack.
Mayor, I would like to know, how do you feel about the growth of the city of New Iberia and the West End being left behind?
Okay, on the western side, I know there's a lot of growth that needs to happen on the western side. I would definitely love to see the western side come into development, especially since because of the Hopkins Street vineyard. You know, Hopkins Street is an area just like Lewis Street and also Highway 14. It's an opportunity for businesses to come in and be able to grow that side of the city. You know, when I talk about infrastructure and growing our city, I'm not just talking about one side of the city. I'm talking about the whole city as a whole. And that's why I'm encouraging for the new city council people that's going to get on board. It's time for a fresh new face here. I've been talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people want to see fresh new ideas, fresh new faces. You have people that's running on the western side. You have a group of people running on the western side. And I like that, because you know what it shows me? That they're encouraged about what's going on that side of town and our city as a whole. So with my experience and my techniques as far as with things I want to see done and with the ideas of the citizens, because I think for us to get things done, the citizens need to be involved in some of our ideas and some of the things that we do.
Yes, and also we have no grocery store, no shopping mall, no recreation, because the park is dead as a whole.
Right.
And I think, I'm asking because y'all will be representing the inner city. I'm not worried about the, as a whole, because you can
Yes,
get
ma'am.
grants from them, but it's what the inner city do for the city of New Iberia that I'm very, very interested in, and I will be paying very close attention to.
Right.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have one more thing to say as far as that. I know they have the neighborhood grocery Walmart opening in maybe a week or so. And to be honest with you, I think that on the western side of town, we should be able to get some of that development on that side of town, like what they did in Lafayette with the Louisiana area and the corridor out there. Because it did help a lot of businesses that weren't on that side of town, able for people on that side of town to be able to go to without crossing over and going into the traffic at KDM Mall area.
Yes,
And it did well, and it's doing well on that side of town, the Louisiana side.
And I think it would, because the lady that made the presentation said, give it to the West End. I understood what she meant, but the way she said, we need things like that on the other end of town. So a lot of people don't have cars,
Right.
no kind of transportation, and they feel like they got representation with no taxation with no representation. They really do. They really do. So whoever gonna serve in those seats, I think they need to pay close attention, because they're gonna be one time, one term. Serious.
And one thing I want to say, Ms. Jarak, I agree with you. I'm going to only be representing the city if I will get elected as a mayor pro
Thank
tem.
you.
The rest of the ideas as far as how far we can take the city is going to be up to the council and the people, and most importantly, the mayor, whoever that person would be. Thank you.
Mr. Swear, you have something?
Mr. Mayor, you was one of them that voted for that new Walmart across the bar that you talked about there. What's gonna happen when it's gonna start affecting the local stores in town?
That's
Well,
supposed to be an answer.
Since you brought that up, Mrs. Swear, the local stores which you may be talking about is, I guess, Bilo, because it's right across the street if you're
Yes,
what
sir.
you're talking about. Bilo has an extensive wine department. I think Bilo has another thing that the local Walmart doesn't have. Has familiar faces, and they have people that have been shopping there for a long time that's not going to just leave and leave from Bilo.
Yeah, you was a businessman on Main Street in that too, you know. When you have too much businesses in the same thing,
One place.
somebody gotta get out, and independent can't operate against Walmart. Walmart has money
Yeah, that's
that they
true
can
too.
pull
But you
from
got to
other
look at one
venues.
thing you said too. Business on Main Street is not how business used to be on Main Street. You know, they have a lot of things closed, stage closed on Main Street. I was a small establishment. A lot of other places closed on Main Street.
If the town would be growing, it'd be different, but the town's not growing. The town is going down with people, so how you gonna bring in more stores with less people? Somebody's gonna hurt. You can't tell me
Well,
that they're gonna
I can
survive.
tell you one thing, Mr. Swear, I think every town goes through that, and they're still surviving. That's my answer.
But you're gonna hurt the independents.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
the
Thank you.
main-
Mayor.
I voted for buying it. Listen to this. A lot of people not going to Walmart and Superman and all that. It is too big. I love my buy low.
Okay, the next agenda item is agenda item 4. We have a person to address the council, Miss Beverly, is it Toussaint? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Toussaint. With Sheroes and Heroes Fighting for Cancer. Thank you for being here.
Thank y'all for having me. I come standing up for Sheroes and Heroes. We're having a walk, October 15th, 2016, at Weston Park. It's a 2-mile walk. It's to bring awareness to cancer. We are a nonprofit organization. We have been set up for about a month. We're looking for donations. We are supporters and partnership. The walk is starting here, but it's not going to end October. We're going to work throughout the year because it's not only breast cancer that we are going to deal with and people dying from. So we're going to walk whatever comes necessary to give back to those that have had cancer. I'm a 9-year survivor of cancer. So I had a dream 7 years ago. So God just laid it on my heart a month ago. They say start giving work back, doing what He has done for me. He healed me with cancer. I want people to be alert that when they say cancer, it's not the end of the world. We look at the little C and we should look at the big C, and that's Christ. So I'm standing here before council, mayor, asking for your support on whatever streets we decide to walk on. Give us the information that we need. Give us the benefits that we need that we could carry on Sheroes and Heroes. And I'm standing here asking that y'all vote for Sheroes and Heroes. Be about Sheroes and Heroes. Be about cancer. And that's it. Thank y'all so much for allowing me.
Can I
Thank
say
you very
something?
much.
Sure.
I have 2 people that have questions,
Yeah.
Mr. Merrill and then
I
Mr.
didn't
Doyle.
expect that. Go ahead.
Well, thank God you're a survivor of cancer.
Yes,
My
I
mother
am.
died of breast cancer 26 years ago, and she was a nurse.
Oh.
And back then, they didn't have a lot of technology when it comes to breast cancer. And I know now there's at least, look like 8 out of 10 women that have breast cancer are survivors.
Yes.
So whatever I can do to help you in that effort, because I do contribute to that organization,
Thank you.
I will definitely be able to do that.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Mr. Doyle?
You know, that cancer is not about age. It happens all over. But maybe could you give us a phone number or email, something that the public can have, be on the air, so maybe if they want to, they can get in touch with you?
Okay,
Would you
sure.
mind
Sure.
telling us the number and the email right now?
Okay, my email is b2saint37@yahoo.com. Telephone number is area code 337-251-2217. My vice president is 337-523-0953. And Bianca, 321-1790.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Mr. Rack?
And I am a 5-year survivor of breast cancer. A lot of people don't want to believe it, but I walked through the cancer, and it was something for the doctor to say, you have cancer. You know, and I did everything the doctor told me to do. And I went on to MD Anderson because I wanted the best. I happened to have cancer policy. And I told the doctor when I went over there, because they couldn't, it was so small. I told her, I said, you know, Doc, I got so much going on with me. I think the cancer just took a suitcase and left. They removed my breast. I asked to remove both of them, but they would not. But they did what they had to do.
It's for insurance reason why they did not.
Yeah.
It's for insurance reasons.
Excuse me, before you leave, one more thing. Can you tell us the time, please?
Yeah.
9 a.m.,
The date.
And the date, please?
October 15th.
October 15th, 9 a.m. to 12. It's not gonna, if y'all know Weston Park, it's not gonna be from
Yes,
9
ma'am.
to 12. We're gonna have other people that's gonna be speaking, coming in from Houston, Lafayette. They're gonna bring awareness to the area. So for those that don't know about cancer and to get the help that they need, a lot of people, like Mr. Rat said, goes to Houston. But we have facility here
Yes.
that could help just as well as in Houston. So we want to bring that alert to people and let people know. So I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here this evening. The next agenda item is agenda item 5, and approval of the municipal salary structure and increase. Approval of the, and we have Mr. Craig Cohart here if you have any questions. But we need a motion and a motion by Mr. Sweeter, second by Mr. Merrill. Is there any discussion? Mr. Dahl?
Mayor, that's the 2% that we had in our budget
No,
this year?
no, this is the structure.
No, it's the
It's
structure.
the salary structure.
Oh, okay.
Salary structure.
And the general 2%, but it's a salary structure increase also.
Okay, but is it in our budget that we?
Yes, it's
adopt?
all,
That's what-
it's
that's what
all,
I'm talking
oh, I'm
about.
sorry, it's all been, it's all
It's
in the
been
budget.
figured
I just want to
into
make sure it
the
wasn't
budget.
additional.
Oh, no,
It
this
was
is not
2%.
additional, it's all in the budget.
Okay.
And Mr. Cohart is here if
No
y'all have any
problem, I just
questions.
want to make sure.
Anyone else?
Would
Okay,
it
please
include
vote your
the fire
machine.
department?
That has nothing to do with the fire department. Please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for being here, Mr. Cohart. We appreciate your service. The next agenda item is a budget amendment, Madam Clerk.
Budget amendment number 23 of the 2015-2016 budget amendment, an ordinance amending the ordinances, levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2015-2016.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Merrill. Second by Mr. Doyle. Do you have any questions?
Mayor, that was not to do with that purchase.
Carryover money from CDBG that was not spent last year, and it's just being carried over to next year. It's $12,858, just for the public to know. And it's money that we did not spend, that is in line to be spent, but
It just hasn't been spent yet.
just
Thank you.
carrying it forward to next year's budget.
For the public, what is the balance in our budget and in our capital outlay?
Oh, Mr. Rack, I don't have that with me
You don't have
tonight.
none of it?
No.
Okay.
We have a budget meeting at the next council meeting. We're adopting the budget at the next council meeting, and we have a public hearing, and we can,
And our
if you
general
have
fund.
questions, you
Okay.
can bring. Oh, the general fund, non-dedicated?
Yeah.
We have about 3.5 million.
Yes.
Okay, please vote your machines. Motion carries
I'm sorry.
unanimously. Mr. Rack didn't,
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis, oh, he's not
I thought I
here.
voted already.
Motion carries unanimously. Motion carries. The next agenda item, Madam Clerk, is a resolution.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to execute for and on behalf of the city of New Iberia, Louisiana, a notice of acceptance from Larry Dwarwan LLC for the Arminco Drainage Pump Station project.
Do we have a motion? Motion by
Motion.
Mr. Merrill,
Second.
second by Mr. Begno. Is there any discussion? We have Mr. George Glabrecht here
I
this
got a
evening
question,
with
ma'am.
Domingue and Zabo, and also Mr. Palumbo's with us.
No,
Oh, what am I thinking?
no.
Mr. Glabrecht. Thank you, Mr. Palumbo.
George, I saw that we holding back $22,000 on the payment because of the punch list or not?
Right, there's a punch list that, there's some bearing issues
Yeah.
with one of the electric pumps and some other minor issues, and we're required to hold that in addition to the retainage is an escrow account for retirement of lien debt, if there's any liens, but over and above that, we have to estimate if the contractor would run away or something, we'd have the money to.
So this is above of the retainer?
Right, the retainage is probably quite a bit bigger.
More. That's why I wanted to make sure that wasn't the only amount of funding. And I heard, or we talked about, something about a generator that needed to be done on that project.
It would be done at that location, but my understanding right now is that that would be bid not as this project, it would be another project.
So this has nothing to do with the contract we have right here.
I don't think that
No,
it's
it
added
does
to
not.
this contract. I think that there was some discussion and that there was some plans or whatever done, but that they're gonna bid it and get a a separate bid for that.
So, how many days after completion you can hold back their retainer?
45 days.
45 days, but
Well, after
we're not accepting it
recordation.
yet. Is that
You-
correct?
What you're
Yes,
doing
that's
is
what
you
you're
accept it as substantially complete.
Continue.
You record that acceptance, and then 45 days, people have an opportunity, if somebody didn't get paid or something,
Right.
to file liens, and that's what that escrow account is for, is retirement of lien debt.
And you notify this council at that point to make sure that's,
The contractor has to go to the clerk of court's office and receive a non-lien certificate that's dated more than 45 days after the recordation of the acceptance.
okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Rack?
I'm very pleased with the Armico Canal, but a lot of people don't understand, I got a call today, how it operates. They seem to think no matter how much water comes, that pump is gonna pump it out of the west end. And I tried to explain it to them, how it works. Once there's water everywhere, there's nowhere for the water to go. So can you explain that in your way? And also, I thought we would have a walkthrough of the Armico Canal, or groundbreaking or whatever.
That
Now,
would
like
be
to
for
see
the
some
mayor to-
warning signs on that fence.
As far as and probably that was prompted by the heavy rains we had in August. If the water on the downstream side, in those cane fields or where the canal is, comes up high enough to go over the road, in other words, on the upstream side, you're just recirculating water when you pump it. You're pumping back to where you were taking it from, and you're just spinning your wheels. Now, somebody might say, well, why didn't y'all fix that? Well, there's a lot of things we could fix, but they'd be so expensive to do. That would be that's the kind of stuff that they're looking at when you hear that the port's looking at doing this levee along the intercoastal and this and that. Big, big money. This was a job that was intended to give some relief to these people and not have them waiting 20 years for something to happen, you know? Get something done that could help them. And what it's going to do is, it's not going to protect against every flood that can happen, but they're going to see less frequent flooding. And when you have some big event like in August, nothing is going to do. And they'll
But
be
I
disappointed.
understand when
But,
there's a regular rain, it pumps.
oh, yeah. And if you got a regular rain and it's not high enough to get over the road and get into the inflow, it can handle pretty good. It can handle a 10-year storm with one pump. And we can run two pumps. The second pump is what we call a redundant, so I wouldn't want to say, oh, that's like a backup pump. But we can run them both and get even more capacity to keep it down.
And Mr. Swear?
George, how many gallons does that pond hold about?
I don't remember the volume of the pond, Robert, but the two big pumps each pump 100,000 gallons a minute, and the little electric day pump pumps 15,000 gallons a minute. So I mean, but you gotta have that kind of a pond, or else it would just go down, up, down, up. It
Yeah.
would cycle too quickly.
But basically, a lot of that water that's gonna go in there, that would be water on the streets, that would be creating
Absolutely.
houses in
And what it does is it gives you an opportunity to draw the water down to where when the rain ramps up, it's got to fill up that whole pond before it has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, the pumps are pumping it out. So it keeps you ahead of the game.
George, one more question. On the Amico Canal itself, does this change the elevation of the water staying there when it's normal versus how it's been prior to we put in this pond?
In general, Dan, I've had that question. One of the parish councilmen asked me, but he was asking with reference to way down, 8 miles downstream. I wouldn't say it has no effect, but it's negligible. Like, it might be fractions of an inch or something like. Because that's not the way hydraulics works. The most height that occurs would be right at the pump station on the upstream end. But usually what controls that, the height of that water, is restrictions on Armico Canal as it winds its way to Bay Petitons down by Iberia Island. There's a lot of bridges and blocked up stuff along the way.
So you see that that's still issues in the Amico Canal still with the water flow, even though we put this station here, that kind of should be addressed if
Well,
it's city or parish.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. Luckily, and I don't want somebody will fuss at me for saying this, but luckily a lot of that is agricultural area, and a lot of the flooding that happens out there is not where there's a lot of houses.
Sugarcane.
Mhm.
The people who have houses with want to thump me for saying that, but I mean, the West End is a lot of houses in a 300-acre area there that we can protect by doing what we're doing, and it's a negligible impact on the Don. Some people think, oh, that's gonna mess us up. It's like, you got messed up before, and this is not really adversely affecting those people.
Well, thank you.
The man has said before that the pump would pump 75 million gallons of water. I heard you say 50.
Well, each of the big pumps can pump 100,000 gallons in a minute. So I'm not that great at math to tell you where the 75 million came from, but
Yeah, I'm keeping.
what it's designed to do is, when you get a storm that happens on average once every 10 years, or like a 10% chance per year, it can keep that and never have trouble in the West End. It's when you get these big 100-year storms or whatever, it's not designed for that.
Can
It would
I
have been
your
very
phone
expensive.
number so they could call you?
Okay, my number, 337-232-5182. That's our office number, Dominguez Avenue. 232-5182.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
It's on the-
Thank you.
Mr. Globrecht, thank you so much
Thank you.
for helping us out tonight. Okay, I don't think we voted, did we? Please vote your machines.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item, Madam Clerk, is a resolution.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the 2017 pre-application packet from the State Revolving Loan Fund wastewater facilities through the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, for the City of New Iberia's wastewater department.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Merrill, second by Mr. Doyle. If you have questions, Mr. Palumbo is here. You have any questions?
I'm good.
This is just, what is it
These are
for?
some projects that,
You could call.
Yeah.
You could call. You know, yeah.
Mr. Dahl, we had applied for LCDBG grants for sewer rehabilitation this past year, which the state is not funding. We still have needs for the department that need to get funded. So I discussed it with the mayor to borrow funds to fund these projects that are necessary to keep ahead of the curve like we have been doing with the consent decree. She gave me the approval. This is just a pre-application. This isn't a loan application.
And we did this last year, the same?
No, I did this back in 2012 to borrow the $6.5 million to
Right.
finish up the consent decree related work. So that was back then. This is the same funding mechanism.
So we used up all that 6.5 million?
Absolutely.
So we, okay.
Yep. We're down to the wire. There's a few dollars left in there, but we still have some projects to finish up, retainage and stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
anyone else?
How much of that has been paid back? That was a loan?
Oh, that's a loan. We're
How
still
much of
paying it
that has
back.
been paying back?
Still paying it back. The interest rate was very low, though. It was
Yeah,
less than 1%.
0.95%.
Yeah.
How much?
I believe it was a 20-year loan. Don't
That's what
quote me
I
on
was
this.
curious.
Yeah.
20 year?
20 years. You could pay it off sooner if you want. I don't know if Fed is doing that or not. I'm not sure how
I
the
mean,
payment.
just for
Still-
y'all
still owe it.
knowledge and
Still
for
gotta
the
do it.
public's knowledge,
Still got to owe it.
this administration has spent, including the wastewater plant, which was started, before I was mayor, we spent $50 million on wastewater. So it's been quite an undertaking, the consent decree and the work that's been done. I often say if we had 50 million in streets, our citizens would be jumping up and down, but you don't see the wastewater work. But I want to commend Vince. He's really done a good job with that department. And I think I won't be here, but the next administration and council, I think we'll be able to be relieved from the consent decree, which will be wonderful for the
That's gonna be
city.
a blessing.
So I want to thank you, Vince. You've done a great job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and let's vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Next agenda item is a resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to the Department of Transportation and Development requesting the reevaluation of the removal of the left turning arrow on Iberia Street, turning onto St. Peter Street due to traffic congestion.
This was a request by Mr. Doyle, motion by Mr. Doyle,
Second.
second by Mr. Swear. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, if you don't mind, I had some, people might not remember, but if you go down Iberia Street, when you take a left on Main Street, they used to have an arrow that gave you the right of way to turn
St. Peter.
St. Peter Street.
on St. Peter Street, but facing Iberia. Okay. Going towards the courthouse. So a lot of people cross the bridge into Perry Street, they take a right on Main Street, and they take a left on Iberia Street. And at that point, people going to the courthouse, going to church, going whatever, had a little time with an arrow to take a left back on St. Peter Street. For some reason, the mayor said the state went in and took that arrow off, but the light is not facing the St. Peter State Highway. So I don't know what gave them, they got the authority, but gave them the information to do that. Because I had pretty many people call me and complaining about almost getting in wrecks. And so I just think it's something that was surprised that it was done.
He talked to us.
And I think it was something that the traffic is pretty thick there because of where people are crossing the bayou. If they don't cross there, they can go all the way to Indes Street or go to Lewis Street. And I just was trying to see if we can get it back.
Yeah, I spoke to them
Yeah.
before, and they told me that they were removing it, that
Yeah.
they had more accidents they
Mayor.
felt with people turning and continuing to turn with the arrow. So I don't,
Yeah.
Mayor, we had somebody here from DOTT that talked, I asked specifically
Right,
about that,
right,
because
right.
I had some complaints
did.
about it.
It's Bill.
And his, who was that? Bill?
Bill Oliver.
Bill Oliver. And his remarks were that it was to keep all the lights in sync on St. Peter Street. That was their reasoning. I wasn't crazy about it either back then, but we didn't do anything.
But how long ago that was?
Oh, a few months ago, he was here.
yeah.
Wasn't that long ago?
They did the same thing when I
And we asked
That's
about
right,
it.
on
Right,
Amador,
right.
yeah, going to that subdivision.
So I'm not,
But
I'm not
just-
against this, I'm
yeah.
just saying that that was their reasoning.
I just was
You know, we can
asking-
try it
They're
again.
trying to keep their lights more in
Yeah.
sync
Yeah.
with each
Right.
other.
I mean, I-
We can send it, but
But
I'm not
I'm
really
all for
encouraged
it.
because
I
we
mean,
did
that's
the
fine.
same thing with Amador. We had so
Yeah.
many complaints.
Gonna do nothing.
And they, I mean, they do studies before
Yeah.
they do this.
Well, I was just
but we'll
asked to
send it.
see,
We'll send
and
it.
that's why I thought we could do it.
Okay, y'all want to vote your machines?
Sure.
Motion carries unanimously. Letters to planning and zoning, Madam Clerk.
A recommendation to grant preliminary subdivision approval relative to the property to be acquired by Mitchell Holdings LLC from Robert Perry Burke and Porteous Richard Burke, located in section 38 T12S R6E, within the city limits of New Iberia, Iberia Parish, Louisiana.
Motion.
Motion.
Mr. Merrill, second by Mr. Bagno. Is there any discussion?
Can you explain to us exactly where that is and what
Jane's
the
here.
purpose is?
Jane?
Jane?
Turn.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
I know where it is.
The location is on Lewis by the bridge next to the new car wash.
Okay.
And it's going to be two brand-new businesses, CC's Coffee, and a new location for Domino's Pizza.
Oh, more businesses, isn't that
More
wonderful?
businesses.
More businesses.
I'm all for
Look
it.
at that.
Let's do
They
it.
shut down the Domino's in Amador.
They're getting ready to close Winn-Dixie too, probably. So what the hell?
It's not a new one.
Optimistic. Okay.
But we have six new
CC's is a
That's
new
right, thank you.
business that has not been here,
Yeah,
so.
CC's is, but not Domino's.
And we have 5 new businesses coming on Amador, where the city,
What you say about that? Mr.
city
Smith?
sold
Brand new
property.
They
businesses,
not
they're not
closing yet.
Brand new
relocating.
businesses.
When you
One is
see
a
the
relo,
sales tax up, then you can get
one is a
excited.
relocation
Is that
of
the shopping mall they're gonna
affordable
build
home
at the mall,
furnishings.
Jane?
And in addition to their new building, they are going to accommodate, they're building to accommodate 5 small businesses who have
Exactly.
never been in the city before.
They gonna build that by the wastewater?
You already
Yes,
say you
ma'am.
had them, you
Yes.
already say you had them
know which
already,
places?
take
The
care of
name
them.
of the place?
Oh, I know they're negotiating with 2 or 3 of them. One is an auto
Somebody
repair,
say
one's a
I'll be
barber
liable,
shop.
everybody
I
jump.
think the Aspen Clinic, may be wrong, but, and 2 others.
Or that anything be nice, anything, thank God. Fine.
Okay, if you could please vote your machines on this agenda
Yeah,
item.
boy. Do it.
Motion carries unanimously. The next agenda item, Madam Clerk. Oh, Miss Jane.
Miss Jean,
The next, Madam Clerk, is a
A recommendation to deny the proposed amendment to the Code of Ordinances, City of New Iberia, Appendix 8, zoning, Article 6, regulation of signs relative to political signs.
we need a motion.
Offer.
A motion,
I'm gonna offer a motion to send it back. They say they'd like to have it back November the 15th, Mayor.
right. Can we get a motion and a second on the floor and we can discuss it, please? Motion by Mr. Swear, second by Ms. Jurack. Okay, I think if we would let Ms. Bro explain to you,
That's what I wanted to.
she can tell you what
for her to
transpired at the
explain.
meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the commission discussed at length the ordinance, the specific ordinance that was presented to them by the council with the language of the installation of signs to be 90 days prior to the election and removal of signs 10 days following. And I may just add that while the commission made their decision, it wasn't a unanimous decision, but it was a decision to deny the language as presented. They are interested in redrafting. They would like some time to review other communities. You know, I have to say that the commission takes very seriously their task to review and draft ordinances, especially if they're intended to impose more regulations on citizens, as, you know, as they sometimes do when they send a recommendation to the council. Their denial of this ordinance means that they're not entirely against the political sign regulations. It just means that they would like some additional time to research other communities, to see how successful those communities are in enforcing this ordinance, because the ordinance as presented had no enforcement attached to it. There were no enforcement and there were no penalties. They felt like in some cases for district elections, 10 days might have been adequate, but for citywide elections, 10 days was really unrealistic to remove signs from throughout the city. And then you've got a window, in the 10-day period, you have a window of 7 days, which could be a work week for someone, and one weekend. And depending on the weather, you know, you're gonna put people in a position of not being able to comply with the ordinance if you left the language as it was presented.
Mr. Merrill?
I talked to Jane about that as well. I knew it was coming up. And I don't know, I'd like to look at leaving it the way it is right now. But my thing is this, you have other people that's putting signs out also, congressmen and different other people in the city. It's not just the city of New Iberia. And these guys who are running for those offices, they start out real early. And 90 days before, you know, you qualify, I don't think that's enough time, you know, for somebody that might be a new city council person, somebody that never ran before. They might need a lot longer time to be able to put their signs out. So I think I would just leave it the way it is.
90 days before qualifying, it's 90 days before ballot.
For balloting.
So it's even less.
Yeah, it's even less, so that's even, right, so it's even less, meaning what I was really talking about for that to happen. I'm saying, I don't think that's enough time for somebody, and like I say, especially somebody that's never ran before, and they want to get themselves out there and be able to do that. I think we ought to leave it just the way it is, myself.
Mr. Swear and then Mr. Rath.
When I started with this, I asked Scott to look up ordinances. I think you got this one from Lafayette. You know, and that's what they do in Lafayette. So see, Lafayette's a lot bigger than New Iberia, so they can pick up their signs over there. I talked with Eric Nielsen yesterday. He's the one that's in charge of that in Lafayette over there. He said they never had, not one problem that he can remember ever having with the enforcement of it, you know. But instead of the 10 days, they have 14 days. So it's 14 days after the election that they have to pick up their sign. But we can reword it where when you qualify, from qualifying to the election, then you can put up signs, you know. But right now, that's what they have it over there in Lafayette, and it worked good. That's what they, you know, and it keeps the city, because this year they started in January putting up signs. We got more signs on neutral ground this year than ever before. I've never seen that many signs, you know, that, you know, asking people to come look at this town and everything, you know. I'm gonna be getting off of here in December, me, so, you know, whoever's gonna be back next time, you know, but, you know, keep the city clean and looking good. We wonder why Lafayette always looks nice and neat and everything, so if it works in Lafayette, it should be able to work in all the city, you know, where, it's just the political signs I have problem with, nobody else, all the other signs. You know, I had a man, Jimmy stopped one day, and it's not his fault, he's doing his job. He stopped one day, pick up a sign next to a political sign across the street. The man was out of work, he made a little yard sign that he was cutting grass. Jimmy picked up his sign. I said, Jimmy, what about the political sign? Oh, no, I don't touch political signs. But yet he's gonna touch the main sign that's trying to make an honest living. He's out of work, he's trying to make an honest living. But politicians, we don't touch that sign. You know, we're sending the wrong message out there, you know. But I'd make a motion to send it back to the zoning board and let them work on it again.
Second.
It's a motion to uphold their decision.
To
is
send
what
it
you're
back.
doing. It's gonna go back.
Okay.
All I wanted to say and add to it is, I know they have a lot of political signs that's out, and that's good and true. But people have been calling me left and right. Nobody is knocking on doors, leaving their political sign, and they asking me, especially the people they don't know, who are they? You know, who are they? So I think maybe we need to get out more and knock on doors and introduce yourself to people. Some people will talk to you and ask you questions, but like they say, they see the signs and they don't know a lot of the people. I don't have a problem with my politicians.
One more rebuttal
Yes,
there.
Mr. Sweeter.
One more rebuttal. Mayor, about being a new politician running, you have billboards out there that people can rent if they want to get their name out and that. And besides that, they can walk door to door and hand out cards face to face, you know, so it's not that they can't be seen.
Mrs. Swear, I don't have a problem with the ordinance which you had, but I'm talking about rewording it. I don't think the time span from somebody qualifying, you know, is enough time there. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have a problem with the ordinance, but I have a time with the time frame.
Why it works
And
in
then,
that
and like
and
you
it
said,
doesn't work.
well, you say that as far as the 10 days after the election. You want 10 days
Well,
on
that's how
that.
theirs was.
They say
Scott
they're doing
took it off of
14.
theirs.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. But
A couple of years ago, they re-amended it to 14 days. When I
Right.
talked to
I
them
think-
yesterday, it's changed to 14 days.
If I may.
But I understand what you're saying, but you understand what I'm
But
saying?
you're saying if a new person want to get their phased out, they can put up signs real early. You got billboards that they can rent.
Mr. Bagnell?
Okay, I think the question, there are several questions here, and I'm glad that we sent it back, but I think enforcement is an issue too that we need to consider. Because if the city picks it up, then it's on our nickel. If there's some way to enforce it where they pick it up and they pay the penalty, then that's okay. But why should we pay our nickel to pick up some signs that's left out there along with the pier? So I think there's some issues that need to be discussed with that. I'd like to see that done.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Roban, did you have something?
Everybody hit this, so I guess I'll put my little 2 cents in. Since I have reviewed it, I do agree with Mr. Sweer that if it starts too early, it does look a little messy. And some people don't keep up with their signage and all that. I think that a happy medium would be closer to a 15-day removal time for me. I think, because I do, I don't put out until 3 months before, and I pick up immediately. But like she's saying, I do work, and the weather can be an issue. But I think 90 days is plenty enough time in advance to put your signs out. I understand that could be a struggle for people with bigger races, but I mean, at the same time, if you're gonna run a big race, you need to be prepared with a team to handle those types of things for you. So I will be willing to consider it, and I also believe we need enforcement. If you're gonna send something to planning and zoning, I think we need to have it. It needs to be full, and I don't think it's their job to finish drafting an ordinance that one of our members wants to present. I think that's, if you want to present an ordinance, you need to present it with all the meat and potatoes that it needs to have. I think that the city shouldn't have to go pick it up. I think a politician should be fined if you don't if we're going to make an ordinance and you're not going to pick your stuff up in time, I think you should be fined, because if you know enough that you want to represent this area, you should be willing to keep it clean. Thank you.
And if you win the election and you pick up your sign, you could use them in the next 4 years.
Well, a lot of people like to put a thank you on their sign, so you could put a thank you on it for 7 days and then use the next 7 days to pick it up. I know people like to see us say thank you at the end of a race, you know, they do.
Okay, please vote your machines. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Rowe.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is property standards, and we are to revisit 212 Rozier Street.
Mayor, he is working on it slowly.
He's here.
He's here.
Oh, is he? Oh, fantastic.
Please,
Awesome.
please state your name again for the record.
My name is Aquinas Johnson.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Landry and I spoke today, he says you're working on it, you're getting some things done.
Yes, sir.
And it's coming slowly but surely. We'd like to
Right.
give you another 90 days, if that's all right, you can continue
Okay,
working
that's
on it
fine.
and trying to clear it
The
up.
back end is, I don't know if you have any other pictures. Yeah, it's closed and
Starting-
all of that was wide open and all.
Right.
It's coming together.
Yeah, sweet.
What's the date, Jane? What's that date?
Nine-
January 17th.
Mr. Kwanzaa got a full-time job, 24/7, but he working on it
Yeah.
in spare time.
That's-
I'm watching.
Second that on.
Okay, Calvin made the motion.
I made the motion, yes.
To revisit on January 17th, and a second by Mr. Merrill. Is there any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you very much for being here, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you,
We
ma'am. Appreciate
appreciate you coming, and thanks for getting the job done. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The next agenda item is announcements. The next city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, October the 18th, 2016. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, October 18th, for the purpose of adopting the 2016-17 budget. The Greater Iberia Chamber of Commerce annual gumbo cook-off will be held Saturday, October the 8th, and Sunday, October the 9th in downtown New Iberia. The Art Walk will be held on Saturday, October 15th, from 4 to 7 p.m. Early voting begins on Tuesday, October 25th, through Tuesday, November 1st.
Mayor, can I mention one thing about the cook-off?
Yes.
That some people is confused that the Saturday of the gumbo cook-off, there's no gumbo served, only on a Sunday. Just to let the public know that. Everything but gumbo. Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Sunday, yeah.
You gave me a motion.